11Alive News Midday starts now.
Well, it's all about the heat this afternoon. We're going to see those heat index numbers rise into the triple digits. Will this heat last through the upcoming weekend? We'll talk about it in the full forecast straight ahead.
Some scary moments for a DeKalb County family this morning after a tree fell on their son's bedroom, how he's doing, and a look at the damage left behind. Plus, a hearing has resumed after the courtroom arrest of the owner of the 1145 Lounge. We're going to take you inside the courtroom for today's proceedings. Welcome to 11Alive Midday. I'm Aisha Howard. It is another 11Alive weather impact alert day for us out there. More heat and more humidity to kick off the weekend. It's going to be dangerously hot. Let's get over to meteorologist Tessie McNeil right now for a look at your forecast.
All right, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we got plenty of sunshine on the outside, mostly sunny skies to start off the afternoon. That's helping to boost those temperatures up a little bit. When I came in this morning, temperatures in Atlanta was at 80 degrees. We dropped a couple degrees down to about 78, but now starting to see those temperatures rise back up. Thanks to the sunshine that we have outside. It's on the hot side, folks. Because of that, we have an 11Alive alert for today, weather impact alert. Looking at temperatures in the 90s. When you factor in that humidity, of course, it's going to heat us right on up into the triple digits in a lot of spots. Some areas could climb as high with a heat index of 105 or more. And then other areas a little bit less than that. Either way, it's going to be hot and humid out there. Most of the areas that will climb above 105 are over toward the east. This is where we have our heat advisory. That heat advisory will last until 7 o'clock tonight. We're talking Athens over toward Augusta down through Macon. And so those orange counties there is where we can see that heat index above 105 today. In Atlanta, over toward Rome, around 102, 101, 102. Still very hot, still very humid out there. So you have to pay attention, close attention, folks, to the heat that will be with us as we head through the rest of the afternoon. Looking at temperatures right now, 88 in the city of Atlanta, 88 over toward Athens, 83 into Carrollton. You're looking at 90 right now over toward Duluth. And so we're getting closer and closer to that 90-degree mark. Certainly it feels much hotter out there. We will have some relief for a few of us, but it won't come until late in the day. This is our forecast track model. You can see by 2:30 this afternoon, still nice and dry. And then once we get toward 6, 7 o'clock, that's when a couple showers could move closer to our area. Got a front up here to the north that's going to make its way up a little bit closer to our area. And then we'll see those thunderstorms. They should begin to die out after 9 or 10 o'clock. And then we'll repeat it as we head into tomorrow and into the weekend. So hot and humid, few isolated thunderstorms around. We're watching the tropics. Got a new system out there that could become tropical. It's favorable to do so. We'll talk about that coming up as well. Aisha?
Chesney, thank you. Be prepared for any storms in your area by downloading the 11Alive app. Just scan the QR code you see right there on your screen to get it for free and get the weather impact forecast right at your fingertips. Some scary moments this morning as parents woke up to a tree falling on their home and landing in their son's bedroom. A nightmare for any family. Matt Ballantyne was working at home around 8 a.m. holding his 6-month-old baby girl when he heard this crash. And when he realized where it was coming from, he raced to his son's door. You can see this extensive damage here, adding to the family's gratitude that both kids are ultimately okay. Half of the house is fine. The other half, Matt says, took the brunt of the damage, especially 2-year-old Wilson's room. Matt telling us he doesn't know how he got through his son's door that was basically blocked by the tree, but he did what he had to do.
Just pushed the door open there and it was nothing but dust and stuff. Was able to get through, pull him out, and he was actually underneath one of the main branches of the tree. He's got scrapes on his leg and his arm from the tree on him, which is quite a wild story, like just being that close.
Nothing like parental adrenaline to push you over. Wilson is at the hospital now just to make sure everything is okay. Thankfully, the family has a place to stay and family support nearby. Neighbors checking since we arrived, helping to get their dog Shadow back, who was scared off when all of this unfolded. We do have this story for you on 11alive.com with a link to some helpful resources for homeowners dealing with fallen trees. We've seen quite a few lately. A hearing regarding the fate of the 1145 Lounge has resumed after a dramatic day in court on Thursday. At question, the location's safety and whether it should reopen after a deadly double shooting inside the club on Mother's Day. 11Alive's Ariana Manish joining us live. Ariana, we know the owner of the club was arrested during Thursday's hearing for something else.
That's right, Aisha. Right now we are hearing from a city inspector. Now, we've heard from 2 witnesses so far in this lawsuit as the city is pushing to permanently close the 1145 lounge after that deadly Mother's Day shooting. And so far the city's line of questioning is really trying to paint the picture that this club should be closed. The first witness we heard from was Kelly Harrison. She's the VP of Peachtree Hills Civic Association, which is a neighborhood group of residents in this area. She says that she lives near the club and says on the weekend when the club is open, they can hear the music inside of their home, and they also have to deal with traffic from the club and try to plan their Saturday errands around when that club will be open. She says she does not believe the club should be located in a residential area, which is also located near a hospital, and describes it really as an eyesore. And since the club has been closed, she says it's been a much better environment for her family and for other residents. Now, as I mentioned, we are now hearing from a city inspector who detailed an inspection that he had done on the club on the patio August of 2023, where he deemed the space as unsafe, and he also posted a sign labeling it as such. Now, the family of Mari Creighton, one of the victims in that deadly Mother's Day shooting, she's also in the courtroom again today. Once again, she's really supporting the city's effort to permanently close the 1145 lounge. We'll continue to follow the updates as this proceeding continues. Reporting live from the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Ariana Manise for 11Alive. Back to you.
Ariana, thank you. And to read more about the 1145 shooting and the city's response, head to 11alive.com. Just search 1145 in your browser. Also in court, a possible trial date now set for the man accused in the February murder of nursing student Laken Riley. Trial is expected to start for Jose Ibarra on November 18th. Riley was out for a run on the campus of UGA when she was killed. Ibarra is facing multiple charges, including felony murder and aggravated assault. Today, residents at Bell Collier Village apartment complex returning to their property to retrieve their cars. They have been without them since the fire broke out last Saturday, and still many residents are searching for answers as they wait to see just how much damage was done to their apartments. The property started handing out checks for $250 to residents yesterday to help offset some of those expenses for temporary housing and other relief. Saturday's fire and subsequent water damage forcing hundreds from their homes. 11Alive talked to a few of those residents about the support from the property and whether it's going to go far enough.
$250? My room is more than that. Like, you got to pay for parking. I got to stay close to work. You know, I got to pay for parking in these hotels. It's like $75 a day. What is this going to do?
It's a drop in the bucket, to be honest with you. We just need to know whether the units are destroyed or not. We need answers.
Residents tell us they are being told the structural evaluation is still not done. Next week, they do expect to have a better idea of when people can access their apartments and belongings. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. We will stay on top of the story and bring you updates when we learn more. You can also head to 11alive.com for a timeline of when that fire happened up until this point. Atlanta police are searching for a gunman who robbed an Atlanta postal worker at gunpoint near Eclipse condos in Buckhead. Police say the suspect walked up to the postal worker around lunchtime yesterday and pulled out a gun and then demanded to be given the van and the worker's mailbox keys. They say a witness then pulled out a gun and shot at the robber, and the robber shot back. Thankfully, no one was hit.
I didn't connect it at the time because that's not something I would have expected to happen here in the building.
That was definitely gunshots. That wasn't fireworks.
I was like, nah, it was a gunshot, but I didn't hear any sirens.
Management sent an email to residents saying the suspect had on a mask and was wearing a yellow shirt and took off on foot. While it seems shocking, the U.S. Government Accountability Office says robbery is the fastest growing and most common crime against postal workers. Just in the last year alone, there were 600 reported robberies against workers. That is 7 times more than what was reported back in 2019. New this school year, a law created to help students get to school safely by bus. Addys Law is dedicated to the memory of an 8-year-old Henry County girl who lost her life earlier this year. 11Alive's Jerry Carnes explains the law's impact and the change it will make.
Miles from Metro Atlanta, near the shores of Lake Hartwell, there is a quiet garden, a peaceful place where Alexa Wright can reflect.
She was like the best. Like, you know, there's nobody else like her.
Here, she thinks about the child she called sister, a young life lost.
She loved Jesus, And that's what brings me comfort, like knowing that she's okay and she's with Jesus, and she never has to suffer.
For Alexa, tragedy produced grief, and from grief came determination. The flashing lights of a school bus were there to protect 8-year-old Addie Pierce. As she crossed the street, an oncoming driver ignored the bright, flashing red. Almost immediately, Alexa Wright created a petition demanding change.
It's something that honors her and everything, and it also prevents any accidents like that ever happening to somebody else's child.
New this school year, Addys Law asks school districts to avoid situations where students have to cross a roadway where the speed limit is above 40 miles an hour, and instead have buses meet students on their side of the street. It also increases fines for drivers who ignore those flashing red lights. Alexa Wright wasn't alone in her fight for change.
I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have her. I feel like that she's proud.
In a peaceful garden, she reflects on the young spirit that stays with her and the legacy of protection created in her honor. Jerry Carnes, 11Alive News.
Addys Law increases the fine for anyone who ignores the stop signal of a bus from $250 to $1,000. Georgia State School Superintendent Richard Woods apologizing today for what he calls a failure to communicate. This is all about his decision to no longer fund the Advanced Placement African American Studies course in Georgia. So we told you he argued that parts of the course violates the state's divisive concepts law passed in Georgia back in 2022. Woods says districts can still teach the AP material and get state money by listing the class as an intro course. Some Metro Atlanta schools are split on teaching the course because the students wouldn't be able to get their AP credit to count for the Hope Scholarship.
We also have to ask what happens to Black and brown children, Latino children, Jewish children, and etc. when their history and heritage is not being respected in this country.
Currently, Atlanta Public Schools, DeKalb, and Cobb County School Districts said they would offer the course in some schools this year. Gwinnett County said it would not offer the course. If you are one of the nearly 25 million student loan borrowers with at least one outstanding federally held loan, you should be receiving an email from the U.S. Department of Education. The email is about another round of student loan forgiveness. This latest plan is expected to take effect in the fall. Plus, there is another setback with FAFSA, which could delay financial aid for college students this fall. They head back in less than a month. The U.S. Department of Education says colleges will not be able to submit corrections in bulk to update students' financial aid records. Colleges have been waiting months now to send batches of corrected records. Submitting revisions manually could delay student aid being sent out. Georgia will get another visit from a presidential candidate this weekend. Former President Donald Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, will be in Atlanta tomorrow. This is the former president's first campaign trip to Georgia since last month's assassination attempt. The rally will take place at the Georgia State Convocation Center at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris will be back in Georgia next Friday. This follows her visit to Atlanta last Tuesday. We know she's going to be in Savannah as part of her tour of battleground states. We will also learn who Harris's running mate is. We've just learned that Harris's campaign had a huge fundraising month in July. The numbers show her campaign raked in an impressive $310 million. Harris's team says most of that was raised in the first week of her candidacy. Before President Biden's decision to step aside, Democratic donors had expressed deep concerns about the president's viability as a candidate, holding back some big checks and standing down on those fundraising events. This week, the Secretary of State's office rolled out a new website allowing users to cancel their voter registration online. But a glitch during the rollout allowed people to access voter-sensitive information like your driver's license number and the last 4 numbers of your Social Security number. The Secretary of State's office says the problem was fixed about an hour later, but should you still be concerned? 11Alive's Karis Belger spoke with a cybersecurity expert to get some answers.
The new system for canceling voter registration is now causing concern.
There's a problem there. It's a collective failure here, and that concerns me because we should not be having this basic type of failure with a system that goes into production.
The Secretary of State's office confirmed to 11Alive Thursday a glitch in the system allowed a user's driver's license number and the last 4 digits of a social security number to be visible for about an hour during the initial rollout. Kennesaw State University's cybersecurity researcher Andrew Green says this is a concern, but not in the way people may think.
Data being exposed in general is a bad thing, but the particular bits of data that were mentioned in the coverage that I've seen so far are already out there and available, depending on if you know where to look or not.
His worry is for the local election workers at the county level, who may have to confirm the information.
If I wanted to do this in such a way to create maximum havoc, I would wait till pretty close to the election to start canceling those voter registration records, for the simple fact of it creates pressure and stress on an already overworked workforce at the county level.
I reached out to the Secretary of State's office and received a statement which said in part, the error was detected and fixed within an hour. Just because bad actors would be easy to detect doesn't mean we don't also take steps to prevent them acting. Green says this doesn't mean there won't be concern down the road.
At a particular moment in time where they made that statement, they were not aware of anybody who may have been harmed by that leak, but they can't tell what's going to happen with that data in the future.
In Atlanta, Karis Belger, 11Alive News.
Home at last. Several people who were wrongfully convicted in Russia are now released back to the United States after a historic prisoner swap. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris met with the newly freed Americans as they arrived back in the U.S. late last night. NBC's Drew Petrimo has more from D.C.
3 American citizens back on U.S. soil. Paul Whelan, a Marine veteran, held since 2018. Evan Gershkovich, a Wall Street Journal reporter, detained last year. And Alsu Kermasheva, a Russian-U.S. dual citizen who was visiting her mother in May of last year when she was taken into custody. All wrongfully convicted and sentenced to time in a Russian prison before being part of an extraordinary multinational prisoner swap with Russia.
Great satisfaction and a feeling of relief for the family.
The Americans greeted by President Biden and Vice President Harris. The emotional scene is the result of years of diplomacy between the U.S., its allies, and Russia.
Long time in coming. I was absolutely convinced we could get it done.
To get it done, the U.S. worked with allies, including Germany, Slovenia, and several others. Russia insisted on the release of Vadim Krasakov, convicted of murder in Germany, but part of the swap. In all, Russia released 16 detainees and received 8 in return.
What made you feel so confident?
Our relationship with other heads of state that I had to get to agree on all that.
The Americans flew to San Antonio, and Paul Whelan, the longest held American, finally spoke.
Looking forward to seeing my family down here and just recuperating from 5 years, 7 months, and 5 days of just absolute nonsense by the Russian government.
After their long journey, the Americans will part ways to resume their lives. Drew Petrimo, NBC News, Washington.
Happening tomorrow, we've recently told you about a program helping homeowners ages 60 and up pay property taxes in Atlanta. The Anti-Displacement Tax Relief Fund program focuses on helping legacy residents combat rising taxes in select neighborhoods. Invest Atlanta is going to help people looking to apply for the program. You can get that assistance right on site tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's going to happen at Atlanta Metropolitan State College. The iconic Atlanta landmark, Lenox Square, is marking a 65-year milestone. Located in Buckhead, the center officially opened its doors in 1959, and since then has welcomed 35 million shoppers every year. To celebrate the milestone, the shopping center is hosting a series of events and activities to honor its rich history and contributions to the community through the month of August.
This is an iconic landmark here in our city, in our state, and really in our entire southeastern region of the United States. It really is the United States Southeast fashion hub and retail hub. And so for 65 years, we've had upscale shopping experiences here for residents and visitors alike. It's been a catalyst for, like I said, the economic development around this region, and it creates millions of dollars of revenue that goes into our communities.
Right now, Lenox Square is hosting a social media contest. You can enter for a chance to win a $1,000 shopping spree. The contest runs until August 31st.
Well, afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Jesse McNeil. Take a live look outside. This is over into Dahlonega, over there at the University of North Georgia. Beautiful campus there, and you can see those cumulus clouds starting to form as the heat rises in our area. A little bit of a breeze as well. Look at the tree right there at the bottom of your screen. See how it's swaying just a little bit. Light breeze. That's all you'll muster up today. It's going to be hot and humid on the outside. No kids back to school yet. In fact, summer school just ended for colleges. You're looking at 11Alive weather impact alert day for today because of the high heat and humidity out there. I'm going to explain that in just a few. Those temperatures start to go down slightly as we head through the weekend. Our chance of rain goes up slightly. We'll hold on to that low threat for rain as we head into next week with those temperatures remaining in the low 90s. Our weather impact alert day today is for the heat and humidity. Temperatures in the 90s. You factor in humidity with it, you get those heat index numbers rising above 100. And some spots could be above 105 today. Looking at the hours between 11 and 7 o'clock, the impact would be heat illness. If you overexert yourself outside today, you don't want to do that. No. We'll be looking at taking breaks. That's the need. Go inside, grab some of that air, hydrate, of course, drink plenty of fluid if you have to be outside today. If not, just stay inside and watch us, watch the Olympics. You're looking at the orange-colored counties here over to the east of the city of Atlanta is where we have the potential for those heat index numbers to rise above 105 today. And Atlanta over toward Georgia's Rome around 101, 102. That will be our heat index for today. Still very hot, still very humid out there. Plenty of sunshine, not a lot in the way of clouds. They're just now starting to form. No rain to speak of yet, but we could see some isolated showers and thunderstorms begin to pop up. Expecting that to come into play after about 5, 6 o'clock tonight. Going into the 7 o'clock hour, we'll start to see that. Temperatures right now are close to the 90-degree mark. You got 88 in Athens, Atlanta the same, 86 down toward Peachtree City, 88 in Thomaston, and over toward LaGrange. You're at 91 right now in Duluth. 85 degrees in Canton, 82, your cool spot up there in Blairsville and Clayton at the current hour. So watching these storms back off to the west, they're headed a little bit further down to the south and dying out a little bit there. We're nice and clear for now at least, but we'll get those showers, thunderstorms developing ahead of a front that's making its way toward the area, some of which, a few of which could become severe, meaning that the winds in one or two of those thunderstorms could reach 58, maybe 60 miles per hour. Storm Prediction Center has placed this dark green shade over parts of our area, mainly north of the city of Atlanta, our northernmost counties, and then over here toward the east. That's a level 1 threat or a marginal risk for severe weather. Again, some could pack some gusty winds along with that heavy rain, so we'll watch that. Also watching the tropics, we have potential tropical cyclone number 4 here. Area of low pressure there. You can see that. That's wave here. We're watching it over in the east of Cuba. This will continue to slide further off to the north. We've been watching the models on this, and they've been consistent so far. And you can see now all of the tropical storm watches and the warnings. The warnings would be in the blue there, but that will continue to slide further off to the north. Could become a tropical storm. It's forecast to become a tropical storm just on the west end of Florida here over toward Tampa Bay. This will be by Sunday, going into Monday, crossing over into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, if it stays on this particular track, it's on the dry side for us. Most of the heavy rain would be on the right side of the storm, and so we would be away from that. And so it means a drier scenario for us and not much of an impact for us. But we'll be watching it as we head through the weekend. If it becomes a tropical storm, it would be named Debbie. That's the next storm on the list right there, as you can see. And so we'll be watching that, and likely a good chance for that to take place, about a 90% chance for that to take place. Here's our forecast track model. You can tell where we see the sunshine for the rest of the afternoon. Much of the afternoon will stay dry. After about 5, 6 o'clock, that's when we're expecting some scattered showers and possibly some thunderstorms to roll into the area. Again, where we have those thunderstorms popping up, you're talking about heavy rain, also some gusty winds with maybe 1 or 2 of those as they roll right on through the area. 30% chance, so not everyone will get wet. Most of us will stay on the dry side. We'll continue on Saturday. Start you off with partly sunny skies. Once we get to the afternoon, scattered showers, thunderstorms will start to pop up. 30 to 40% chance for that to take place, and we'll continue that as we head into Sunday as well. We got a 30 to 40% chance, mainly during the afternoon. Temperatures still in the low 90s. We'll stay right there as we start the work week and a full week of school, if you will. Notice it gets a little bit drier by Wednesday and Thursday when we're looking at partly sunny skies and temperatures remaining in those low 90s. Aisha?
All right, Chesley, thank you. Families across Georgia are fighting to get their kids back after being accused of abuse, a nightmare that could happen to any parent. 11Alive News investigator Rebecca Lindstrom has been following these heartbreaking stories, exposing the hurdles these families face as they try to clear their names and bring their kids home.
It seems like entire cases hinge on just one child abuse pediatrician saying this is abuse, and his word is enough to carry it all the way through prosecution.
You can watch the full Help That Harm series on the 11Alive Plus app, available for download on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Once you open the app, click the News tab and scroll down for the Help That Matters series. As Earth experiences what may be the hottest year on record, experts are warning that social media influencers are spreading false and dangerous messages about the sun and sunscreen. This includes messages that try to undermine the safety of sunscreen, as well as myths about ways to protect yourself. Michael Yoshida explains what medical experts want you to know.
The sun does not cause skin cancer. With a good tan, you don't need sunscreen. These are some of the false and potentially dangerous messages you may come across on social media.
It's leading to a spread in a lot of misinformation on how to care for your skin and how to protect your skin, especially when it comes to skin cancer.
Extensive research has shown UV radiation can harm skin cells and play a significant role in causing cancer like melanoma. Still, experts say misinformation on sun protection is not only spreading, but being believed.
Messages are being delivered very fast in a brief amount of time, and there's no room for nuance.
A recent survey by the Orlando Health Cancer Institute recently found about 1 in 7 adults under age 35 thought daily sunscreen use is more harmful to the skin than direct sun exposure. And about a quarter believed drinking water and staying hydrated prevented a sunburn.
There's so much misinformation, and they're talking about ineffective treatments. I think that, drinking water is going to protect your skin. You're absolutely wrong. Find a sunscreen that is comfortable and that you're going to wear. That is the best sunscreen. If you're not going to wear it, then it's not going to be worth your time.
Doctors also say sun damage earlier in life can lead to trouble years later.
For those of us who treat patients with skin cancer, we have seen a troubling uptick in incidence, especially melanoma in younger folks.
In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
There's also a new survey out there that indicates teens have a lot of good coping strategies for mental health. The survey asked more than 1,600 kids ages 10 to 18 about their emotional lives and their needs from adults who care for them. 45% said they felt stressed, 38% felt anxious, and 23% felt sad. Researchers also found 1 in 6 parents have a hard time comforting and communicating with their teen. It's time for a Paris Olympics check-in with 11Alive Cheryl Preheim. This time we're getting an update on one of our Georgia athletes competing in the hammer throw, Metro Atlanta's Daniel Haw.
Hello from Paris, I'm Cheryl Preheim. Anything can happen at any moment at the Olympics, and today a perfect example of that, just not in the way we had hoped. Daniel Haw, born and raised in Marietta, trains at KSU, had his qualifying round in the hammer throw. He fouled out. He does not advance. That means his Olympics is over. That's a stunner. Nobody expected that. Daniel's among the top 10 throwers in the world, and sometimes a picture says it all. Take a look at these images just moments after that happened. Just shocked, stunned. Again, nobody saw this coming. His coach texted me 2 words: no explanation. What happened is that Daniel's foot just went out of the circle just a fraction of an inch. That happened 3 times, so his competition is over. This is a highly technical event. Anything can happen. But let me tell you, what says a lot about Daniel Haw is the way that he's responding to it. Moments after that happened, he came right up to Faith Jesse, who was at the venue, and he smiled and said, "I thought that last throw was solid. Yes, it's heartbreaking, but glory to God, and we live and we learn." Those were his exact words, and we had a chance to talk to his mom and dad, Jordan and Yvonne, a little while after.
The results I'm happy with. I know he tried his best. We talked a lot this past week, and he told me he always gives his best, and he usually figures out a way to make things happen. Unfortunately, it was a bad day at the office is the way I look at it. It's still in life. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs.
I left it all in there, just battling through some technical stuff recently, but honestly, the last throw felt really solid. I think it was a 77 plus over the qualification, but it was out of sector. And so it's heartbreaking, but glory to God in the highs and the lows, and we just got to live and got to learn.
This is an incredible family, and we appreciate them letting us along for the ride. And the ride is far from over. Daniel's ultimate goal has always been LA 2028, to be on the podium. So he is moving forward, and I know everyone back home is very proud of this two-time hometown Olympian.
All right, a weather impact alert for today because of the heat and humidity out there, and that's why it's colored in the red color there. You notice over the weekend the temperature drops down just a little bit. We'll be in the low 90s, but we'll still have about a 30 to 40% chance for a scattered shower or a thunderstorm each and every afternoon. That continues into Monday as we start a brand new work week, but notice the temperature doesn't move all that much. 92 on Monday. Tuesday, you're looking at 93, and notice the rain chance even lowers as we head into the middle of next week. Enjoy.
All right, Chesley, thank you. And we thank you for watching here. Make sure you tune in to NBC throughout the day to catch all the latest Olympic Games and our Georgia athletes. The team will see you right here streaming on 11alive.com and 11alive Plus at 4 p.m., followed by the news on 11alive at 6. Make it a great weekend.